Most voice teachers begin their careers believing that if they simply learn enough information, they will eventually become capable of helping every singer who walks into the studio. They study pedagogy, immerse themselves in anatomy and acoustics, attend conferences, and spend years and a lot of money trying to become more knowledgeable, more skilled, and more qualified. You become extraordinarily informed. You can explain residence strategies, discuss registration theories, identify compensatory behaviors like giving too much effort, and you can design exercises for nearly every vocal problem imaginable. And yet, a quiet frustration begins to emerge. Welcome to the Singer's Mind, where we introduce and discuss principles of neuroscience to unlock age-old wisdom about singing, performing, and creativity. I'm Linda Bolero, and today I'm talking about a strange problem in the modern voice teaching world. Voice teachers today know more information than ever before. Knowledge of anatomy and acoustics increase every day. There's a plethora of resonance strategies, breath exercises, vocal science conferences, online certifications, and endless social media clips explaining how singing works. And yet many singers are still inconsistent and struggling. Some sing beautifully one day and struggle the next. Some understand every instruction intellectually but cannot perform reliably under pressure. And some improve in lessons but cannot transfer those skills into rehearsals, auditions, or performances. Overall, there's an abundance of nice singing being taught in voice lessons. And at some point, the field of voice teaching has to face a difficult truth. Knowledge and explanations of mechanics and acoustics, they're not enough to train singers. That doesn't mean anatomy and acoustics are wrong. They matter, but they're only part of the system. Singing is actually about perception, attention, prediction, reward, sensory weighting. The brain's calculating what's important. Identity, that comes from your cultural background and from your neural background as well. Motor learning, it isn't just a straight path from auditory to movement. In other words, singing is generated by cognitive processes, and it takes place in the autonomic nervous system. As long as we continue training singers according to body parts, we're working against the singing and the voice function in the real world. When we ignore the system, we end up explaining singing instead of actually training singers. Before we go further, I want to clarify something, because neuroscience has become a trendy word in the vocal world. You know, neuroscience, it's not motivational jargon. It's not mindset coaching. We're not talking about the cognitive psychology subjects of how and why people are motivated and what's going on in their mind unconsciously. It's not pretending that every teaching problem can be solved by a basic motor learning framework. Before we go any further, I want to clarify something, because neuroscience has become a trendy word in the vocal world. Neuroscience is not about psychological issues. It's not about motivational jargon or what's driving you. It's not about mindset coaching. And it's not pretending that every teaching problem can be solved by a basic motor learning framework or talking about dopamine. And it's definitely not replacing voice anatomy with brain anatomy. Understanding and teaching from the perspective of neuroscience should deepen age-old pedagogy wisdom, not replace it. Neuroscience gives us a better understanding of how singers coordinate complex behavior under changing conditions. When singers perform, the system is constantly managing sensory information, attention, memory, emotional salience, prediction, timing, motor coordination simultaneously. That's why training movement of body parts doesn't help singers in the long term. Voice teachers are very good at getting changes in sound from their students, and this can be an improvement. But changing sound doesn't create lasting change in a singer who needs it when it really matters. When you learn that we're training an entire adaptive system and you learn how to leverage that system instead of stifling it, you see the power of understanding how cognition works. By the way, the relationship between emotional state, learning, flow state, attention, and coordination are topics I explore in detail in the 12-page printed monthly letter, The Singer's Mind Report, where I map out complete frameworks and give practice recommendations so you can train it over time. The link is below in the description. You can sign up for a free trial. Traditional pedagogy often focuses heavily on the physical mechanism: breath support, jaw release, tongue tension, resonance, tuning, registration. Again, these matter, of course, but have you ever had a student who could do everything? They could breathe beautifully, everything correct, but they still lost it completely in performance, or they still couldn't really sing a song in a compelling way? Or how about a singer who understands your explanation perfectly, but cannot reproduce the coordination consistently? Or a student who sounds technically fine, but never truly expressive, compelling, or artistically free? That gap exists because information alone does not create automatic skill. A singer may understand what to do while the nervous system still cannot coordinate it efficiently under variable conditions. That's a training problem, not an intelligence problem, not a problem understanding what to do. And neuroscience helps explain why that continues to happen and how you can change it. When I use neuroscience in teaching, I'm not lecturing singers about the brain during lessons. I'm using it to make better teaching decisions. It changes how I think about repetition and communication, how I focus singers' attention and introduce variability, how I manage cognitive overload in myself and in the singer. And importantly, how do I build automaticity and understand inconsistency? What's happening? What do I need to train in a different way or in a more deep way? I'm leveraging the system to improve how singers use their voices so it naturally shows up in performance conditions. Understanding neuroscience changes the training architecture. You know, singers do not become elite singers through explanation alone. They become elite through deeply trained neural coordination. And even if your students are hobby singers or students not trying to become an elite singer, they still want to have fun and feel great about what they're doing, so you still need to train neural coordination. One of the biggest problems in modern pedagogy is over-explaining. Teachers often keep adding more information because they assume the singer has not understood. But sometimes the singer understands perfectly. The problem is that the coordination has not been stabilized. Explanation can interfere with automaticity. It prevents stabilization because it's engaging cognitive processes that aren't conducive to real singing. It also creates manufactured sound, shuts down connection to the music and lyrics, and it inhibits authentic communication. And it's one reason many singers become trapped in self-monitoring and analysis. They're trying to consciously manage processes that need to become integrated and automatic. Look, I'm a highly technical teacher. I train singers to sing with a stable and consistent mixed voice that creates flexibility throughout their range, allows them to access more high notes, sing authentically, and develop their artistic identity. And for elite singers who want a career in power contemporary music, musical theater, or opera, we have to fine-tune body movements as part of what takes them to that level. But we do this again by leveraging the system instead of working against it. This matters because voice teachers are carrying enormous pressure right now. Teachers want their students to improve faster, not spend months learning to sing in a mixed voice. They want singers to become truly reliable and consistent. They want professional level artistry, even if you're a hobby singer. And many teachers secretly feel frustrated because despite all their knowledge and everything they know how to do, they still feel like they're guessing. Not because you lack knowledge, but because the current pedagogy model is incomplete. We trained generations of teachers to think mostly about structure, the body structure, and acoustics, while ignoring perception, attention, automaticity, and the adaptive motor learning system. Then, of course, there's economics. It's becoming more and more difficult for voice teachers to earn a consistent income that allows you to have the life you want and to make the impact you want. The exciting thing is that once you begin understanding singing as a brain-body behavior, instead of only a mechanical event, many confusing teaching problems suddenly become more understandable. You stop chasing isolated symptoms. You stop constantly fixing sound or fixing pitch. You start training systems. If this conversation resonates with you, I'm teaching a free live masterclass. We'll go much deeper into how neuroscience can practically transform voice teaching without abandoning the foundations of great pedagogy. Check it out in the link below. It's free to register. There's no hidden charges. In the next video, I want to tackle one of the biggest frustrations voice teachers face: why students remain inconsistent even after you've worked on breathing and posture, tension, and everything else you know about singing. Because inconsistency rarely happens because the singer doesn't get it or doesn't practice or isn't talented enough. And it's not happening because you're failing. It's just that the training didn't go deep enough, and we're going to discuss exactly how that can occur. And remember, if you want to change your singing, change your mind.